Okay, imagine this. You're watching a MotoGP race right now. The roar of the 1000 cubic centimeters engines, the insane speeds, the way riders practically defy physics as they lean into corners. Now picture all that changing completely in just 2 years. Pol Espargaro, a guy who's lived this life for a decade, just said something that made me stop mid-scroll. You cannot believe how much MotoGP will change in 2027. And honestly, that's not just hype. This isn't a tweak, it's a full-on identity crisis for the sport's pinnacle class. Let me explain why this might be the biggest shakeup since they banned two-strokes. First off, let's unpack what's actually changing. They're shrinking the engines from 1000 cubic centimeters to 850 cubic centimeters, so less raw power, and switching tire suppliers from Michelin to Pirelli. But Espargaro, who recently hopped back on the current 1000 cubic centimeters bike after testing the 2027 spec machine, described it like he'd been transported to a parallel universe. He said he felt like a rookie again, struggling to read braking distances, throttle inputs, the whole dance between rider and machine. Personally, I think that reaction reveals something critical. The skill set required to master MotoGP is about to evolve in a huge way. It's like asking a virtuoso pianist to suddenly play a synthesizer with a different keyboard layout. Same music, totally different muscle memory. Now here's what most people aren't considering. This could create a wild reshuffling of the competitive hierarchy. Espargaro pointed out that Moto2 riders moving up, like Danny Holgado, might actually have an advantage because they're already used to Pirelli tires and smaller engines. In my opinion, that's a sleeper issue here. The current MotoGP elite have spent years fine-tuning their instincts to Michelin's characteristics, and now they're being told to unlearn all that. It's the racing equivalent of changing the laws of gravity mid-season. And get this, Espargaro even admitted he felt more comfortable watching Moto2 data than MotoGP after testing the new bike. That's a mind-bending statement when you consider these are the top athletes in the sport. But let's zoom out further. The physical demands are going to drop significantly, according to Espargaro. He claims he could race twice as far on the 850 cubic centimeters bike compared to the current 1000 cubic centimeters monster. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about rider fitness, it's about the very nature of the spectacle. The current 1000 cubic centimeters machines are borderline superhuman to control. Their physical brutality is part of what makes MotoGP so thrilling. By softening that edge, are we losing something fundamental? Or are we opening the door for closer racing and fewer injuries? What this really suggests is a philosophical question about where the sport wants to position itself in the 2020s. And then there's Ducati's potential ace in the hole. Because Pirelli is already in World Superbikes, and Ducati dominates there, right? Espargaro straight up said they're starting with a knowledge base the others don't have. A detail I find fascinating is how this mirrors past tech transitions, like when MotoGP went from 990 cubic centimeters to 800 cubic centimeters in 2007. Back then, Yamaha came in with nothing and won because they embraced the change faster. Could Ducati repeat that narrative? Or will the other factories adapt quicker than expected? Let me throw another angle at you. This might be the most important test of MotoGP's relevance in the EV age. Shrinking engines and reducing physical demands? It feels like they're anticipating future tech trends while keeping costs in check. But here's my contrarian thought. By making the bikes more like superbikes, aren't they diluting what made MotoGP special? The prototype essence? The cutting-edge R&D that used to bleed into production bikes? Or does this make the racing more about rider skill than electronics and engine management? One thing's certain, 2027 isn't just another season. It's a reset button. For riders, teams, and maybe even fans. If you're a current MotoGP fan, you might want to appreciate the next 2 seasons like they're the last of their kind. Because when that 850 cubic centimeters era kicks in, the heroes we cheer for, the way races unfold, even what defines fast, all of it's going to look different. And honestly, I'm torn. Do I want to see Marc Marquez fight against this new paradigm? Or will we get an entirely new generation of stars who grew up riding Pirellis? Drop your thoughts below. How do you feel about MotoGP's coming identity crisis?